Anyway, let's watch this.
20,000 hotel rooms lie empty on the average night. See where this might be going?
It's insane. It isn't going to solve the problem.
We think this is one part of the solution. By no means do we think this solves the homelessness crisis. But do hotels have a role to play? Of course they do.
So the union he leads, which reps hotel workers, gathered enough signatures, and Angela...
For the record, Unite Here, isn't that literally, that's the same one that Hugo Soto Martinez was an organizer in, right?
Angelenos will vote on a bill that would force every hotel in town to report vacancies at 2 p.m. every day, then welcome homeless people into those vacant rooms.
Honestly, would you check into a hotel knowing that the chance of your...
I told you, they're going to say this will diminish values, diminish the value. First of all, it's a Motel 6. Motherfucker, you're the manager of a Motel 6. Who the fuck is going to a Motel 6 and going, oh, there's homeless people here? Well, guess I'm not going to be here. What do you mean, dog? Every fucking Motel 6 is already people that literally can't get a fucking home. He's just mad that his clientele no longer will have to pay for it. That's it. That's literally it. That's so funny. That's incredible, dude. That is hilarious.
neighbor to the left or right is a homeless individual.
What does that mean? That means it's just a person without a home. Like, what does that mean? You're making it seem like a homeless individual is like something different. They're like a fucking alien.
Manoj Patel voluntarily rents some rooms to homeless people who are vetted and paid for by...
Oh, yeah. He voluntarily rents out rooms to homeless people already. That's why I fucking called it. He literally is already doing this. He just doesn't want to do it for free.
A local church, but he's against this bill that would make that mandatory.
We barely are surviving, number one. Number two, we have to think of the safety of our staff. And number three, we're not professionally or any otherwise equipped with any of the supporting mechanisms.
This part is correct. So let's be real. There are a lot of homeless people who are already fried. You know what I mean? And I've talked about the tier system of homelessness before. This measure is really good for people who are living in their fucking cars, okay? Who are in the beginning stages of being houseless, okay? But this measure itself is going to be really fucking difficult if you're talking about like someone who's like a tier 3 homeless person where they've already started self-medicating, they've lost all hope of like ever returning to the workforce, and also on top of that, not having shelter for many, many years have legitimately caused an irreparable amount of fucking brain damage. And that's true. And for people like that, it's a very delicate situation. They still deserve housing, obviously, and they should be a part of a housing first structure. This is kind of similar to that, okay? And those people absolutely need like care. It's hard to describe it to people because you fucking sound like you're talking about it from a dehumanizing person. You're talking about it like you're dehumanizing someone, but like it's real. That's a very delicate matter that needs to be dealt with professionals, okay? That know exactly how to communicate with people who are going through episodes in many instances. They need immediate health care. It's not just shelter. They need shelter immediately, okay? They need shelter immediately. But also on top of that, they also need constant management. They need someone taking care of them. Is it just me, or do you act like you have a solution to every problem? What are people like you called? Can you answer that, you smart ass? I'm a fucking idiot. I'm not a very smart person. I am the first person to admit that, my friend. I say it all the time. But I think in a lot of instances, a lot smarter people have decided that the solution is way more complex and way more difficult. So that dumb people like you and myself feel like, oh man, maybe they're right. Maybe these smart people are right because they're smart. They're the ones who are writing policy. And then at a certain point, you realize like they're not actually smart. They're being kind of pieces of shit. They're making it more difficult for no reason. Well, they are making it more difficult for a good reason. They just want to make more money. That's the difference. If you sat around and thought about some of these issues for more than a fucking second, and many people in this community do that because I urge them to do that. We talk about these sorts of things regularly. you will also come to similar conclusions. And because I do this for 8 hours every single day, nonstop, over and over again, it comes across like I have a solution for every single thing. I don't.
That the homeless guest would require.
What services would be provided remains unclear. Also unclear the funding, and hotels would be paid fair market rate.
It's up to the city. I mean, they did it during Project Roomkey.
The pandemic-era program now winding down that inspired this bill by placing more than 10,000 people in hotels that volunteered. Sean Bigdelli among them.
Well, first of all, it's a blessing. It's a great room. The technology is not up to par, but, you know, what technology do you have in a tent?
This bill would also force developers to replace housing demolished to make way for new hotels, and hotel permits would be introduced, as well as making every hotel from a Super 8 to the Biltmore accept homeless people as guests.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Why not?
Maybe for some, but, you know, there's a lot of people with untreated mental health, and some people do some damage to these poor buildings, man.
This happened in Manoj Patel's motel.
And she marked all walls, curtains she burnt. Thank God there was no fire. Even marked the ceiling.
Opponents of housing the homeless in hotels fear this, and fear tourists could be...
Okay, see, I already told you. I told you this is... No, stop saying poor buildings. Guys, chill. Okay. Like, yeah, poor buildings, but like... That's why I literally mentioned what I mentioned, okay? Yes, some people need more help than just shelter. Shelter is the first and foremost, most important thing that people need. But it's not, it's just the first step. Also, yes, rich people do that shit too, of course. Probably more frequently than the fucking homeless people do it. But you have to remember, dude, I don't know why. It's just like strange. I feel like it is kind of sheltered. Like, these are sheltered takes to make it seem like some homeless people don't need more help than just shelter. Shelter is the first and most important step. And that's why I advocate for a housing first policy with respect to tackling the homelessness crisis. But of course, there are a lot of fucking homeless people, I promise you, that need significantly more fucking help than just shelter, okay? Some of you motherfuckers live in Idaho and have never encountered a homeless person, so you're like, you don't understand it. But like, no, there's a lot of people that need it. Shelter is just the start. I mean, this seems like a real Band-Aid solution. The Cecil Hotel in downtown LA was already converted to a hybrid low-income housing because of city laws. It's housing approximately 600 low-income housing. Like, I don't know if you ever talk to volunteers or social workers, but like, bro, there are homeless encampments everywhere in every fucking city in Los Angeles at this point. Like, every fucking grid. Every city, I mean, every street on this grid has like one homeless encampment at this fucking point. Okay? And there are some people living in those homeless encampments that are fine. They could totally, all they need is shelter. And then boom, they have a place for hygiene. They have a roof over their head that gives them a security that also, gives them literal privacy and protection from not only the environment, but also like other people stealing shit from them. You know what I mean? And they're good. They're great. All of a sudden, boom, they bounce back. They can shower, shit, shave, and then they can get a fucking job, right? Because that is a huge burden for a lot of people. And then there are people who have been around, that have been around for so fucking long. They've been on the streets for so long that it's just like impossible to recover. Those people need extra help. And if you've ever either volunteered or worked with people that do this sort of thing, you would recognize how big of a workload that actually is and how delicate that situation is.
be put off from even coming to LA.
I wouldn't want my kids around people that I'm not sure about. I wouldn't want to be in an elevator with
Oh, I'm surprised that the president of the Valley Industry and Commerce Association has a anti-homeless take.
somebody who's clearly having a mental break. The idea that you can intermingle homeless folks with paying normal guests,
Normal.
it just doesn't work out.
We don't want to head backwards into the segregated South, but that's kind of the language that they're talking about. There's a certain class of people, less than humans, animals they almost describe them as, to be honest with you. They don't seem to understand who the unhoused are. We're talking again about seniors, students, working people. That's who the voucher program would benefit the most.
So, about 18 months until this is actually on a ballot, and expect plenty mudslinging between now and then. Some opponents have already told us that they think the union is pushing this bill just as a negotiating tactic for leverage. The union themselves tell us that is false. But the union says they want to hold the hotels accountable.
Bro, I don't know what's going to happen. I think that this is a Band-Aid solution. The real solution revolves around, like, unfortunately, undermining one of the most important planks of asset ownership, of accruing wealth, which is home ownership. Americans are used to their housing prices constantly going up, and it only goes down when the bubble bursts. You know what I mean? And the government will only take legislative action towards maintaining their housing, the housing market going up regularly, year over year. And I don't know, outside of decommodifying housing, these sorts of solutions are like Band-Aid solutions, because these are vacancies. You can, one, personally fucking buy out the vacancies on purpose in an effort to ensure that no homeless person, you never have to give any room to a homeless person. You can also just, you're going to be kicking homeless people out 2 days in when the rooms are completely booked. You know what I mean? And that's fucking terrible. I used to volunteer with homeless orgs here in Houston, and you're 100% right. Some homeless are super chill, and some you can tell have gone through it and are either very skittish or aggressive from years out in the streets. Being homeless is a brutal thing that has you constantly on edge. Housing is just a step of many to help these people gain a sense of normalcy. Yeah. I mean, dude, I don't know. Maybe it's because I live in Los Angeles, but I interact with homeless people every day, literally, which is probably unheard of for so many people. I assume. But living in West Hollywood, yeah, I interact with homeless people every fucking day, multiple times a day. Anyone that lives in a big city probably also has this exact same experience. Some of those experiences are looking the other way as they fucking quietly jerk off, okay? And hoping that, that person can eventually get the help that they need. And other experiences are playing basketball with them. You know what I mean? Or some shit like that. And it ranges just like the mental health issues range. You know what I mean? And it is I don't know. It just, your homeless jerk off story was hilarious though. I mean, it's not hilarious when you think about it, because my mom lives here. You know what I mean? But I know the jerk off guy, that dude needs way more help than just jerking off in a hotel room. Immediately putting him in a hotel room, is better. Now he can jerk off in the comfort of a hotel room. He can take a shower and stuff. Okay? Or the poop towel story. I mean, the poop towel one is the poop towel story is just that one is a direct reason that one is a direct problem caused by not having adequate hygiene, adequate places to take a shit and shower. You know what I mean? That's just the direct solution. poop towel. Yeah, someone shat in a towel and like left it directly in my parking space outside my house, and I drove over it. That was a long time ago. Why don't you let your homeless people live in? Why don't you let homeless people into your house, into your vacant rooms? I don't know. Why don't you let them? Why don't you do that? You have a couch. Like, what kind of question is this, bro? Like, that's such a fucking stupid argument. I don't know why this is like a legitimate argument. No, I don't want a fucking stranger. It doesn't matter if they're homeless or not. Do you allow strangers into your own home that you don't know to stay with you? Like, it doesn't even need to be a homeless person. Is that how that works? Like, what a psychotic fucking take, dude. Let's say I let one homeless person live with me. What happens to the fucking 56,000 other homeless people? Are they all going to take turns? I love that argument because there's like so many unoccupied office buildings in every major city that we could use, but nah, I need to share my 400 square feet studio because I have empathy. Yeah, exactly. They also imply that homeless people don't deserve the privacy. Like, that's so crazy. Bro, I wouldn't even let my cousin stay over. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, people genuinely think that's an adequate dunk too. When in fact the real dunk is at the top of the hour. That chatter who's not going to subscribe is going to get served an ad break. At the top of the hour, there's a 6-second ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free. Twitch Prime is free. Or you can get gifted a sub. Okay? Pecker Protector Sohape, thank you for gifting a sub, allowing 5 people to no longer see those ads. Here's the one I'm going to have right now. American politics is literally just blaming individual people for systemic problems. Yeah, it's so stupid. It's so fucking incredibly stupid. It is so, like, painfully American hyper-individualistic, dumb brain attitudes. I literally, like, when you're advocating for... Oh, shit. Look at that. Chateau Marmont won the contract. Chateau Marmont and Unite Here Local 11 have reached an understanding that will allow the hotel to return to its normal level of operations. Let's go. That's fire. Just landed at LAX. Traffic is unbelievable. Good luck, chatter. It's the worst place on earth. One of the worst places on earth. This is great. NLRB did something amazing today, too. What did they do? Starbucks illegally withheld raises and benefits from workers in order to scare them out of unionizing. Now the NLRB is prosecuting them. NLRB is, thank you to the NLRB for taking action against to protect workers and punish companies that try to exploit and abuse them. That's awesome. By the way, I don't know if some of you not old heads, but I don't know if some of you remember, I said that Amazon and NLRB, I suspect that Amazon and Starbucks is taking actions like this that are very openly against the law, like established law. Maybe I'm too doom-pilled, but I think they're doing this on purpose so they can, take it up the courts and take it to the Supreme Court to completely abolish what remaining crumbs of, like, institutional protection exists for laborers. More union news breaking. Chipotle workers in Lansing, Michigan have won their historic union election. They formed the first ever unionized Chipotle in the country with the Teamsters. That's fucking fire. Congratulations. Makes me feel less shitty about eating Chipotle every fucking day. Why you gotta put that out there? Now I'm doomer. I mean, dude, they have to fucking eviscerate the remaining labor protections. And the best way to do that is by taking it all the way up to the Supreme Court, which is stacked with a 6-3 super majority of psychotic Republicans.
And make sure that the hotels play their part in tackling a problem that is...
Don't worry, your store isn't union. I know that, dummy. I'm saying good. That's how it starts. One store unionizes. All of a sudden, other stores are like, wait a minute, we can do that too. It's the fucking revolutionary spark of optimism that you see when a store successfully unionizes. Look at fucking Starbucks.
Frankly, only getting worse.
Anyway.